Considering that many of your works have fluid and organic forms, I guess materials have an important part in the designing project. Is it challenging for you to experiment new materials?
Always, but I think there are also materials that are the right ones for a particular expression. So in the case of the body zone, the actual structure was steel with a shell of concrete, but very thin. And then we wanted to find a material which expressed a kind of silky sensuality to the surface. And what we chose was a tile, a plastic tile, which changed colour according to the angle that you looked at it. And although one wouldn't necessarily think that plastic could create this skin-like effect, the net result was to make an extraordinary skin, a kind of hyper skin that was derived from that material. But then in other cases, I mean, like in furniture or objects, whether it's plastic or wood or some techno-material, depends very much on the project.
Why did you choose the ancient Roman wall for the wall in Tokyo? Put it in another culture, another city?
Well, it was partly to do with what they were asking me to do and why I was brought to Japan in the first place. And it was because I came from old Europe, and yet I had a contemporary way of doing things. And the client in that case asked for a building which looked as though it had been there forever, but was a symbol of the 21st century. So I thought, well, we can play a bit here. And I decided to come up with a piece of Roman wall because of the absurdity of the idea that the Romans had been in Japan, which of course they hadn't. But it sort of fitted the mood of what people in Tokyo were looking for in terms of being kind of not just given or to build Western kind of architecture, but they were fascinated by the heritage of European buildings. So it was an artistic response to what I'd been asked to do. And then it had very practical resonances because I knew a couple of builders from a village in Italy, and I thought it would be fantastic and increase the authenticity of this wall if I took these guys from here and took them to Tokyo, which is what I did. So these two muratori came to Tokyo and built the facade in the way they know how to do, whereas the Japanese builders had no idea how to make this kind of combination of stone and brick that is normal in Italy, at least in the countryside. Well, the Japanese word for brick and tile are the same. So the concept of tile, of course, is totally different. It's stuck on, whereas the concept of brick is to actually make something structural with substance.